Hey everyone, I'm back. We had the Rona, that's why I've been away. But all good and well now, so let's crack on with it. If you're new here, I should tell you that we bring you every week, more or less, the latest gear to, soothe your gear acquisition syndrome. We all like a new bit of gear. So I'm going to go through it. First up, we had this week the GX-100 from Boss. Now this is similar to their flagship GT-1000, which I'm very familiar with. It's got less effects on it, less bits and pieces, but it's also much cheaper. But it's still got a hell of a lot on it. It's got like 150 effects on it. That's a lot. That's a lot. Most people don't have that many pedals. Got a lot of amps built into it. Interesting things about it. First, you've got the aired amps. Now, the aired amps are what they have in the GT1000, and what they do is they emulate not just an amp tone. They emulate the preamp, they emulate the power amp, they emulate the push-pull from the cab as well, and then all of them dynamically react with one another. This has been the best experience of playing a non-real amp for me ever, because you feel it under the fingers, and it's such a corny thing to say, but it's true, and it feels absolutely great. All the other type of emulated amps I've played never quite feel it. You're like, I'm playing this, the sound's coming out, but there's a disconnect. You don't get that with the aired amps, and that's really important. The big thing on the GX100 is the screen. So the screen is, firstly, it's coloured, woohoo, but secondly, it's touchscreen. A bit like Headrush, for instance. And you can move things around. It looks really easy to use, really intuitive, and it's a big thing. I when I first saw it, that was the thing that I focused on. You can add Bluetooth to this with a little connector. You've got a treadle for your expression. It comes in at around, I think it was $450, something along those lines. So it's very well priced. It's going to be the go-to multi-effects unit, I think, for mid-level. You'll be able to gig with this. You'll be able to record with this. You'll be able to use it as your everything tool. Very, very cool. Very, very cool indeed. Now, let's move on to something that I didn't think was going to be cool. So a couple of months ago, some friends started saying to me, "Oh, I've got a new pedal from Thorpy, but I can't tell you what it is." And I'm like, "Okay, what is it?" No, well, it's a Fuzz, but I can't tell you anything more. And so, okay. And at that point, my interest kind of petered off, because it's a Fuzz and everyone releases a new Fuzz. But it was released this week, and I thought, go and watch a video on it. And the video I've watched, I'm linking in the comment section. May even be playing some of it here. And the reason I'm playing some of it is because it's amazing. It really is very, very good. So it's based on the Tone Bender. The early Tone Benders, so the 1.5 and I believe the 2 had only 2 transistors, and then the 3 and the 4 they would have 3 transistors. That made a huge difference in tone. It was like the difference between a Tone Bender and a Fuzz face, more or less. And then you could like dial in different amounts of bias and these sort of things on this. A lot of pedals who try this nail one tone, so they'll nail like a Mark III, and then they'll have things that hint towards maybe a Mark II or a Mark IV or something like that. In the video that I saw with Andy, it nailed absolutely every Tone Bender tone that he tried to emulate, and it was amazing. Go and watch that and tell me that I'm wrong, because I don't think you're going to. I really don't think you're going to. So yeah, well done, Adrian. I had to send Adrian a message on this because I was so impressed. Very, very, very cool. Next up, so we're all very aware of what's going on with Russia and Ukraine, and some pedal companies are trying to support the Ukraine by raising money for them. One is the Caroline Corporation. They made the FCK PTN, fuck Putin, of course, and that sold out almost instantly. Another company who have got behind this, and we've been trying to support them on Pedalboards of Doom as well, is Analog Man. So Mike has made a King of Tone, and the bottom half is yellow, top half is blue, and he's auctioning it off. He is going to match the auction price up to $5,000 in dollars, of course, and anything above he'll stick at $5,000, which is still a lot of money. The reason he's doing it is there is a container full of medical goods and bits and pieces that needs to go over to the Ukraine, and there's I think it's like a $35,000 outstanding balance on it, say for argument's sake. So everyone's trying to raise money so they can get this container shipped over to the Ukraine. There might be some extra fees involved, I guess, and that might be why it's at $35,000, because they're going to the Ukraine during this time. Whatever the reason, the last I saw, this pedal was sitting at $4,500 in terms of bids. So it'll probably go today, but if you're so disposed, get a bid in. Good luck to the Ukraine, of course. JHS have brought out the Overdrive Preamp. It is based on the DoD Overdrive Preamp 250, which is a very old pedal from the 70s. You don't see that much around about them. Apparently this is based on the pedal that didn't exist. I'm not really sure what he means by that. I haven't looked too much into this one. But what I wanted to say to you about this was, if you want to hear the tones of the Overdrive Preamp, click the link in the description that says Tonepedia DoD 250, because I like to plug Tonepedia where I can. I work there. I work very, very hard. And what we do is we make demos which are interactive. And we do that by recording multiple recordings with the pedals in different positions. And we have like 3 mics set up on each cab. What we do is we mix the cab mics, we move the mics, and we get the sound as near as, damn it, as close as you can to the real thing. It's the closest you're going to get to hearing the pedal in your hands without actually having it there. Simple. No argument there. So if you're thinking, am I going to like this Overdrive Preamp in real life? Hit that link, listen to it, and hopefully you'll decide, oh yeah, that's really, really good. But if it's not for you, you'll know. And that's the most important thing. We're not going to tell you, we're going to let you make your own minds up. So this looks cool. Good work, Josh. The design looks really, really lovely. I love the yellow on the black. There's like a wasp sort of aesthetic to it, isn't there? Now, last bit of news this week is something that's really, really cool. TC Electronic have been stepping up their game. I think I've said it on every news video for the past month. Excuse me, Rona. So, they have now released the Impulse IR loader. Now, what's cool about this is there are other cheap, like sub $100 Impulse IR loaders that you can put in your pedal boards from other companies, but TC making it means there's going to be almost like a guaranteed level of quality, which is really, really nice to start with. This also looks very simple to use. You've got a left button and a right button that cycles through your cabs, and then you've got a volume. Fantastic. There's going to be more to it than that, obviously. When you switch it off, it bypasses, like true bypass, so that's good. It's not going to be interfering with your signal. And if you hold the foot switch down, you go into AB mode, so you can compare a couple of cabs to find out which one really is the right one for you. And that's a nice bit of a touch as well. There are some interesting other features to this. One is that some of the cabs apparently have a power amps emulation to them. So if you get a preamp pedal, such as the Kingsley Jester or something along those lines, and you run that into it, you can use that as your amp setup. They have glossed over this feature in such a way that makes me think that it might not be that great. Who knows? Well, you will if you get one. Other than that, it does look really, really great, but I want to give you a little bit of retail information here in terms of where we sit for IR loaders and cab sims. So you've got, let's use this as a jumping off point. This is around $130, and other than having the fact that you can play Snake on it, no, I'm not kidding, it is pretty basic, but that's one of the big selling points for it. It's also very small. Then you can go up to the Two Notes Cab M, which is the jumping off point really for Two Notes. It's a very basic Two Notes, what you can get, other than obviously the Wall of Sound software. If you haven't got that, it's free, go and get it. It is amazing and you should own it. Okay, but the Cab M, which they now call the Cab M Plus, does have an amp simulation on it. I would say it splits between maybe about 70 to 80% cab sims in there, which they call virtual cabs, which are probably the best in the market, and then about 20% of it is amp related. You can add a bit of reverb on there as well, but you can change your valves and get some amp sounds on there. It's really cool. I've used it for recording before in the past, recording demos for instance, and it sounds really great. Then you've got something like this, which is the IR200, and I use that a lot now. That is 50-50 amp and cabinet. So you've got a lot of amps built into it, Marshalls, Fenders, these sort of things, and then you've got a lot of cabs built into it. It is there to replace your amp setup completely. I normally use that in order to just get my cab sounds, but the amp simulations on there are fantastic as well. And if I'm just portraying something to someone or just testing a pedal out for myself, this will be something I use on my desk just to use it. Now that would be around $400. The cabin will be about $300, and as we said, the Impulse IR loader is around $130. You get what you pay for. None of them are bad. They're all very, very good. My personal experience is of the Cab M Plus and the IR200, and they absolutely fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. You cannot fault them. So that is the retail information for you. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. I will hit you up again next week. No, I won't. No, I will not. Either one of my team will cover for me, or I will miss a week because I am going to be in Germany making some recordings over there. So I will see you in a couple of weeks. Have a splendid weekend and see you soon. Bye-bye.